The idea that we're all coming at things a little differently is one of the first values of personality type. For most people, it's like, oh, really? Other people are looking at different things than I am? Huh, that's fascinating. The second element of type being super valuable is realizing that we might have some work to do. We might need to clean some stuff up to go, I am not just looking at things differently, but I also may be looking at things in a distorted way.
Hi, welcome back to the Personality Hacker Podcast. My name is Joel Mark Witt.
And I'm Antonia Dodge.
So Antonia, we did not prep for this episode. I have an intuitive exploration with you.
Yeah, so we have one of three potential topics.
That's right.
And I said, just throw one at me and see what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah, so it could be any one of the three. It's almost like I'm picking a topic out of a hat right now.
Yeah, we're basically trying to do a lot of conversation where we do less scripting or planning. Mm-hmm. There's this idea of like relating to your audience, educating your audience. We're talking about like translating value for your audience. We've talked about this on the show before. And I think we've done a lot of education. And so we're trying to like do more translation or even relation these days.
Well, and we're also making it so that I want to keep doing it.
Yeah. Trying to make it spicy for Antonia this time.
Spicy for Antonia.
This season, she needs some spice.
I do. I just need a little bit of spice. And so this whole like, all right, so teach an entire course on functions. I'm like, oh, I don't think I can keep doing that on the podcast. So instead, just throw something at me and see where we go.
Well, I'm going to ask you about cognitive functions. Here we go. Or let's talk about cognitive functions. Not a course, but
not a course.
I was thinking about this today. So if you're new to type, you don't know this yet, but if you know anything about type, you know that the type label that you have, that 4-letter code, like I have ENFP preferences, that's just a label. It's somewhat useful. Like if you went to New York City, a label of New York's good. You can look at street signs, get around, but a map of New York is so much better to get around a city, major city. So I really like when we move into the Jungian cognitive functions in the car model, we're no longer just talking about these labels we slap onto each other, but we're talking about the map of our personality. And that's where these cognitive functions come from. Mm-hmm. And there's 4 that we prefer, and there's 4 that are in our shadow. But you can talk about the qualities of those, but there are 4 functions that are related, and each personality type is going to have one of these they prefer. But 4 that are related to judging and making decisions about the things in the world. So like the criteria, whenever I have to make a decision about something, there's a cognitive function in my personality that I prefer to make that decision with. There's also a set of 4 cognitive functions, and each one of us prefer one of these in our personality, of how we perceive our world. We take in information. Mm-hmm. I was reflecting on that today. I almost used the analogy in my own mind of a pair of spectacles, an old word for glasses, right? I actually have my glasses, my reading glasses right here. I can hold them up. Almost imagine that your perception or your perceiving function, if you would imagine there's 4 of them, introverted intuition, introverted sensing, extroverted intuition, extroverted sensing. You have one of these as a preference in your personality, and your personality will tell you what they are. But imagine that they have almost like a glasses or lens type quality to them. Mm-hmm. Like you're perceiving your world. I know it's not just vision, but let's say you were looking out of them metaphorically or in an analogy. What would it mean to have a dirty view or a dirty lens? And what would it mean to have a clean lens through a cognitive function? So if there are perception, just like my physical glasses, sometimes I'm reading and I'm like, there's a smudge on my glasses. I can't see clearly. There's a blurred word in that book or in that whatever I'm looking at. I can't see the detail clearly. So I pick up the glass, I clean them with a cloth, and now I put them back on. I can see better. And I'm assuming that our perception can be dirtied in our life too.
For sure.
I think that we can get off in how we see things. Mm-hmm. And right now I see a lot of battles in the world around what we perceive more than what we decide upon that perception. Mm-hmm. There's arguments right now. People can't even agree upon basic things they view or observe. They say, no, that guy was wearing a red shirt. No, that guy was wearing a green shirt. They can't even come to perception agreement on this. Mm-hmm. So I think it's kind of a thing that's important right now to make sure that we're seeing things clearly. Are we observing what we're observing? Are we patterning what we're patterning? Are we experiencing what we're experiencing? And how do we keep those things really sharp, clean, non-corrupted, whatever that means for those functions in us?
Yeah. So another way that people can come at something and thoroughly disagree is when they are paying attention to different things. True. Like the whole analogy or, of the blind man and the elephant.
Yeah.
And they're all describing it differently because they're all touching different parts of the elephant. You know, one is like, oh no, it's like this big flat creature that's floppy, and that was the person who was touching the ear. And no, it's more like a tree, right? It feels like a tree trunk, and that was the one, the one that was touching the leg. And so
it feels like a snake. Somebody's touching the tail.
Right, exactly.
Feels like thin like a snake. Yeah.
And our perceiving functions can also basically it kind of lets us know or diagnoses what part of the elephant we're touching, if that makes sense.
Focus. What we focus on.
What captures our attention, what we focus on, what's interesting to us, etc.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to mention that is because that is also one of the reasons or one of the phenomena that happens when we disagree with other people's worldview.
Yes.
But I think what you're talking about is less coming at things from different angles and focusing on different elements and different things capturing our attention.
Yeah.
You're more talking about even if two people used the same preferred perceiving function.
Yes.
But one person is looking at it clearly and the other person is looking at it through what could be called a smudged lens.
Yeah.
Like it's dirty. And so it's coloring how they're perceiving it. And I think the idea that we're all coming at things a little differently is one of the first values of personality type, which is this idea that we're not all experiencing the world the exact same way, which is kind of a game-changing reframe it was for me. For most people, it's like, oh, really? Like other people are looking at different things than I am? Huh, that's fascinating. But I think the second element of type being super valuable is realizing that we might have some work to do. We might we might need to clean some stuff up. And that's the personal growth aspect of type.
Yeah.
To go, I am not just looking at things differently, but I also may be looking at things in a distorted way, depending upon what my experiences from the past are.
So I think we can probably do work on both channels. I think we can work on what we focus on. Like my process. I have ENFP preferences. That means I lead my driver or my dominant cognitive function, Jungian cognitive function, is extrovert intuition, exploration. And I have struggled lately. I've been focused on negative things sometimes. Like I've struggled. It's hard to stay focused on the positive. So there's work I have to do to say, oh, okay, I've got a negative kind of focus. I'm imagining the worst case scenario. Well, I could certainly imagine the best case scenario instead, or more positive things could happen. Like think about the possibilities and what's possible, Joel. Don't just focus on the negative, focus on the positive. So that's the focus point of my perception. But then there's also the quality of that smudge. I think that's a separate, I'm agreeing with you. I think that's separate than focus. I think focus is what it's attuned to. But the smudge or the how clean or how clearly am I seeing through my lens is another aspect of this. And I haven't mapped it completely, but it's like this question in my head that's running that I think I've got some thoughts forming, but that's what I'd love to explore today is, and maybe we haven't done enough thinking to really come through the entire thing because we're sort of dipping into theory, but I'd like this to be practical too.
Yeah. Well, I've done 0% thinking around it because I didn't know that this is what we're going to be talking about.
Cheers to you.
Yeah. Cheers to me.
Well, we've got enough coaching under our belt and all this. I think we could
we could probably figure something out.
Pull it up.
I would say that the very first thing that pops up for me is it's a lot easier for me to immediately access ways that our introverted functions can be smudged than our extroverted functions. Our introverted functions can have unprocessed material.
Ooh.
And the unprocessed material can be part of what's creating the quote unquote smudge.
Okay.
Like I think the easiest one for me to access immediately is introverted sensing or memory. We can, if sensing is experiences.
This is used by all SJs in the Myers-Briggs system as their preferred perception.
Correct. And those of us who have NP preferences will have it as a less preferred function, but still part of our identity, right? It's part of our, what's called ego-syntonic functions. And when our introverted sensing has unprocessed material, it basically means that we had an experience from the past that we have not yet made peace with, that is haunting us on some level. And we may or may not understand how it's influencing us now, like the lack of being able to make peace. I guess the easiest way to say that is a traumatic experience that got inside of our memory and made it so that we don't want to ever experience that ever again. we certainly don't want to add to the pile of the unprocessed, material or content. So we don't want to replicate it for sure. Because when we have unprocessed material, our psyche, and by unprocessed material, I just mean like something that is stuck inside of our unconscious mind that is unfinished business.
Yeah.
Right? Like our brain goes, you should probably attend to that. And when we have it and say, like take for example, I mean, we're not talking about the judging functions, but say introverted feeling, when we have an unprocessed emotion that can very much haunt us.
Yeah.
We can basically, that thing is like trying to come out all the time. It's trying to smuggle itself in unrelated situations. It's trying to make us pay attention to it. If we finally start paying attention to our emotions, if it's a particularly intense one, it'll like jump in there and go, look at me, look at me, look at me, right? It's trying to get us to pay attention to it so we can process the feeling. And once we process the feeling, then we have a sense of catharsis and we have a sense of greater self-knowledge and awareness and sort of understand the implications of that. And it sometimes helps us figure out who we are and, all the great things that introverted feeling or authenticity do for us. And then it's complete, right? And we can move on. And then when we don't do that, what's the book? Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. Like it just waits for us to pay attention to it. And that's actually the case with all of our introverted functions. All of our introverted functions can be unprocessed material waiting for us to pay attention to them. And until we do, they influence us from the shadows, even if it's not a shadow function. Like introverted sensing or memory can be unprocessed experiences can be influencing even SJ types if they have not taken the time to process them, which they might not do if it's a particularly unpleasant experience. So our introverted sensing or memory, quote unquote, lens or perception, I think can be smudged when we have experiences that are encouraging us or keeping us from taking actions we want to do, or encouraging us to take actions that we don't want to do because we're trying to avoid something that we experienced in the past, or we're trying to recapture something that we experienced in the past that we can't replicate. And so it's giving us less choice in the moment.
Yeah. I think for me personally, it gets dirty that I carry the past around with me with potentiality, meaning like unfinished projects. Like, well, I'm going to get to that. It's going to become the thing. And it really dirties and colors how I see introverted sensing or memory. Mm-hmm. It's hard because I'm carrying so many unfinished things that had potentiality and idealism attached to them at one point. Mm-hmm. But the energy that would have taken to finish it is long gone, but the open task is still with me. And so I drag these around like, what's the Ebenezer Scrooge story where the ghost is dragging around the chains. Like I can't remember the name. Is it Marnie? What's the, I can't remember his friend's name.
Marley? Yeah,
Marley, something like that. I feel like that dude in the story, just dragging all this heavy, unfinished stuff around with me sometimes.
I don't know if it was Marley. I'm just questioning that too.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I know Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah.
It's that story.
Yeah.
And those chains, I feel that's what it feels like to me, dragging all this around, all this heavy weight. And that's the ghost of Christmas past, right?
Right.
Like, it's interesting that I just realized, just made the connection. Mm-hmm. That is the ghost of Christmas past that's dragging all this heaviness around. Oh, that's Jules having a moment right now.
That is interesting. Well, and the other way I think it can get smudged is when we go to the past to process an experience that we've had. It can be smudged in the way that we can't see it clearly. I think that's one of the big challenges when we go to review the past, if it's a really unpleasant experience or if it's like it was not a pleasant experience in the past, we might want to smudge it so that we don't have to see it clearly. I see NJs doing this. And usually what they end up doing is trying to reframe it as opposed to making peace with the experience and just like saying, yep, that's what happened. That's how it went down. It's got to have some sort of bigger meaning, or it has to be reframed, or like it had to happen that way, or, like
you stood the person's perspective, blah, blah, blah. Can we pivot over to introverted intuition and the NJs and talk about their function?
Sure. Just to complete the idea though, with the introverted sensing or memory, I think that's one of the ways that it can be smudged. And so I think cleaning the lens for introverted sensing or memory, I mean, if we're going to that place.
Yeah, I think so.
I think is first being willing to sit with experiences from the past that are still in your psyche. And you'll know that they're still in your psyche and need attention because they'll make themselves obvious. They'll go like, hey, this is a thing. And usually we're pushing it away. It's not something that we have to go dig for oftentimes. Oftentimes it's there and we just don't want to. And so that's the first thing is just sitting with and being willing to sit with an experience. And the second is to understand that a fully processed experience on the other side is it's acceptance.
Yeah.
That's what when we fully process an experience from the past, that's what we feel. We feel acceptance for it.
Yeah.
And so if we're unable to do that, if we have to reframe it or try to feel some sort of, pivot or see it from everybody else's angle or say it's not important or whatever, I think that's when we have quote unquote dirty lenses. And it makes it so that what become our, like the future introverted sensing, meaning that like, this is the moment I'm in right now. I'm in an extroverted sensing or sensation moment, but in 5 minutes, it will now be introverted sensing, right? Like, because it's constantly, like I'm constantly moving forward into the future and this is constantly becoming the past.
Yeah.
And so in order to make it so that I don't have more material that's backlogging and needs my attention and attunement, then I need to make peace with those experiences so that they don't color my current experience and then just add to the pile, right?
Yeah.
And make it so that there's even more backlogged, unprocessed material.
By the way, I just realized something. I just want to capture it here just for my own capturing this thought. I realized the other day, I was thinking about this, about the past.
Mm-hmm.
The past is not time. The past to me is represented as a place.
Mm-hmm.
That I think, like unconsciously, I believe I can go back to. Like it's a place that I can visit.
Yes.
But it doesn't actually exist. It's only a construct, but it seems very real, like it's a location.
Yes.
Not a timeline.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I was just thinking about this the other night going, well, no wonder I've got such a weird relationship to time and why people I don't understand it the way other people do is because I don't see it as like that event isn't over. It just lives somewhere else.
Yes.
It's like, it's weird. It's hard for me to even describe what I mean by that. But it's like, then it's always like, the reason I don't let go or move on is because it's just in a different place. It's still just as real right now as it was then. It just doesn't live in my present moment. It's like put somewhere else.
Which is why I'm always frustrated that time travel doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because the past does feel like a place to me too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull a Joel right now. You listening, does the past feel like
There you go.
a location in time or a location in space? Does it feel like a place or does it feel like a moment on the timeline that is now inaccessible?
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
And
Yeah.
I think that's been part of the challenge of letting it go. It's like, well, that means I would deny this thing existing or something. Like,
Yeah, I don't get to go there again or something.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, and by the way, if you answer that, say what your type is too, because I want to see if this is like a weird NP thing.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if it's just NPs
Yeah.
or other people. The other thing about that too is like I judge myself about the decisions I made because I know that the experience I'm having right now is based on decisions I made previously.
Yeah.
Really harsh on myself.
Yeah.
And others sometimes. Mostly myself, but others as well. And I'm getting better at that. But the one thing I realized is like how I heal that or let that go, just as like a real practical thing to do, if you struggle with that too, is I tell myself, look, I made the decisions with all the information I had at the time. If I'm judging myself about the decisions then by the information and who I am now, well, I'm going to fail every time I judge by that metric. Like there's no way I could hold that version of myself accountable to what I am now. Look at how much growth I've had. Look at how much I've changed. Look at how I'm wiser now and make better decisions and I'm more informed and I've got more people in my life and I've got more fill in the blank. Well, of course I made dumb decisions then or decisions that weren't the best. Mm-hmm. And so that's helped me realize like the person that was me then was doing the best they could. And they were making decisions with what seemed like the right decisions for them at the time. In hindsight, they weren't maybe the great ones, but at the time I didn't know that. Now I do judge myself really harsh if I did know it at the time and I made it anyway. I'm like merciless with myself then.
Are you doing that thing where you're judging the past by contemporary standards?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that, I mean, we
all do that, right?
We all have a tendency to do that.
But my personal past, not like
Yeah. No, that's what I mean is that you're judging, even if it was like 3 weeks ago and you have better information now.
Yes.
You're judging your past by today's standard of knowledge and information and wisdom and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is just, I mean, it's just so ridiculous. To me, I can't think of anything more ridiculous than judging the past by the standards we have right now. It's like, but you didn't know it then. So how are you supposed to? And it's like, well, you should have. And it's like, okay, there's that word should again. Okay, fantasy land, here we come. Yeah. So, what you just said though, I know you mentioned going over to introverted intuition, but that made me think of, because I didn't immediately, when you asked the question, I didn't immediately tune into how we make sure the extroverted functions are not smudged.
Yeah.
Right. But what you're talking about is the experience we're having now. Makes me think of extroverted sensing or sensation, right? It's the experience in the moment because you're engaging and interfacing with reality in this experience right now.
So this is used as a preference. This is the cognitive preference of perception, the way all SPs perceive their world.
Right.
Like this is their preference to perceive it in real time, right here and right now, the sensing world, verifiably the immediate, the eternal now of the experience.
Yeah. And also NJs use this, but not as a preference, but they also have it as part of their identity and part of their ego. I have, over the last year, gotten a real education on what beautiful extroverted sensing or sensation looks like. Our business manager, at the time of this recording, our business manager, Emily, has this amazing... She has ESFP preferences, so extroverted sensing or sensation is her driver or dominant function. And anytime we're talking about a project or anytime we're talking about what we're going to be doing next, she always says, she'll say something like, yeah, that idea has a lot of aliveness to it. And I'm like, man, what an amazing, I mean, she says it so often, it's now almost inextricably linked to extroverted sensing or sensation to me. Now, is this idea of aliveness. And so I don't know this to be true. This is a little bit of a spitballing, conversation in this particular episode. How do we keep these lenses clean? But I wonder if it's to keep the perception around you clean. I wonder if it's what you are tracking for in real time, what you're looking for, and whether or not you are what appetite you're feeding. Because extroverted sensing or sensation is it is consumptive. We're like consuming the moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like we also are engaging with it. We can also be feeding the moment. But in some ways, it's sort of it's both a feeding into and also a feeding from.
It feels very mergy.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're merging with your reality. Mm-hmm. Your borders and boundaries of you and the universe are breaking down in real time. Because everything's present right now. Like there's not much separation, like at a molecule level. Like things are passing through my body. Like everything's moving, energy's moving. It's all real right now in the present moment.
Well, yeah, and
so the borders break down. It's like the bleeding, the back and forth just flows.
Or it's just really hard to know where one begins and one ends.
I mean, the experience of it. Yeah, you could have it more separate, but I think a lot of it is just very tuned to the present.
And I wonder if it's what you're seeking in the moment. Like, what are you trying to consume, or what are you feeding into it? And so, to keep the lens clean of the perception of what's happening around you, what are you looking at in that moment, and what's coloring what you're looking at and looking for? And I think a part of it is whether or not our introverted sensing or memory is coloring our experience right now. Like, I wonder if we keep our extroverted sensing lens clean by not having a lot of built up introverted sensing or memory plaque. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do we make sure that we're attuning to our environment, and in the moment, do we make sure that that's an aliveness experience?
Yeah.
An experience where we're being playful, or we're being attuned, or we're being present, or we're being mindful, or like all the other things that come along with what seem to be the healthiest experiences of the present.
Yeah.
We do that usually by not bringing a bunch of baggage into it.
Probably the one way I would go toward is where do you like to figure out what a dirty extroverted sensing might feel like, I would look to people that have it as a 10-year-old or tertiary. So ENJs, what embarrasses an ENJ? What do they usually like I just know that like ENJs report, ENFJs and ENTJs report like bumping their head in public or tripping or falling or any kind of physical like pratfall or real fall is like deeply humiliating. They are almost mortified by any physical mistake that they make in some way. Like they're any flailing limb or anything like that. They seem to report that that's really deeply embarrassing and humiliating for the part of their psyche that is attuned to that, which would be their 10-year-old or extroverted sensation. I mean, I've had multiple ENJs tell me this, both ENTJs and ENFJs. So I feel like there's something there around there's something around that is the lens. I don't know what I mean. Like, I don't know. I'm still on the hunt for it intuitively.
That's something that might undermine the experience, but does that dirty the lens of perception?
I don't think it does for them. What I'm saying is whenever I'm trying to figure it out, like somebody that has a preferred function of what it looks like when it's maybe tougher. Yeah. Or it's like something's gone off. I always look to the back seat of 10-year-old, 3-year-old to say, right. Like it was easy for you and me to see how introverted sensing can get dirty because we have it as a 3-year-old. Like, oh man, it happens all the time. Here's like, we spent most of our time talking about it because we're like, it's the thing we contend with as perception. Like it's hard. It's like the thing that we're always like, you and I are trying to, because it's part of our personality.
I would actually say it's more likely to be quote unquote dirty, just like our introverted sensing or memory was easiest to grab because it's our inferior or 3-year-old. I wonder if it's easiest to see it in an INJ, not an ENJ.
Okay. Maybe.
Because that's on that axis of relating to self. And it tends to be something that can get dirty through neglect. Like our 10-year-old or tertiary function,
there you go.
We tend to use it a lot more. Our 3-year-old or inferior, we tend to let build dust.
Yeah.
We tend to allow that because it's a place of uncertainty.
Well, I wonder if it has to do with energy then somehow. Because I know a lot of INJs, as an example, with the 3-year-old being extroverted sensing or sensation, they struggle. They don't necessarily struggle with energy generation, although sometimes they can. They struggle with knowing if they can generate enough energy. Like they're never certain about, do I have the energy for this or will I have the energy for this? So I wonder if it's, and I wonder if the extroverted functions too, when they're dirty or smudged, it's actually less about like down cycling. It's more like manic energy. Like it's more like impulsivity maybe would be a dirty or smudged extroverted sensing, or like it's something around like the movement, like fast or slow movement or something like this.
I was actually thinking whether or not it's attuned to something that, because what's the whole point of something being smudged or not smudged? When we want to see something clearly, what we're trying to avoid is anything like we said, that colors our perception or throws us off. And I would imagine that would be associated with something that's like healthy or unhealthy. Whether or not it's helping us get to our end game. And for extroverted sensing or sensation, some of the things that can sometimes be smudgy are things like being overly concerned by the perceptions of other people. I mean, not just like in an introverted intuition perspective shifting way, but like being like flashy. Extroverted sensing or sensation tends to telegraph a certain, image. It's attuned. And I think a little bit of this is introverted intuition or perspectives being like lower down. So not being totally sure of how other people are experiencing you. Sure. So wanting to do a little bit of image management in that way. But I think the function itself also likes to be impressive, right? It likes to have as optimized an experience in the moment as it can. And part of that is showing off and being impressive and that all heightens the moment. So I wonder if it gets quote unquote smudged by being a little bit too attuned to how people are experiencing it and maybe no longer being with the moment, but trying to
manage the moment.
Yeah. Or trying to manage how the people are experiencing it.
So being present with reality, maybe like constructing reality, like making sure or positioning it a little bit like.
Yeah. I wonder.
Okay.
And then the other thing that shows up for me is, as I mentioned, like we're both feeding into the moment and feeding off of the moment. And I wonder if it's also if the consumption part is quote unquote dirty. Like it actually, I wonder if it's feeding too much off of it and not contributing enough into it.
Yeah.
So, like over consuming.
That's
like
what I was.
Food, alcohol, sex, that kind of thing.
That's what I was leaning toward is like the introverts the function seemed really easy. Introverted sensing. It gets caught up with material that has to be processed. And we know that introverted functions more are used for processing and extroverted functions are used for engaging and interfacing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, there's more direct correlation to interfacing, like with the example of the lens being dirty. Mm-hmm. It's like we're having a hard time patterning and coming up with what would be a dirty extroverted sensing or sensation lens. Like we're not totally struggling with it. We're like, oh, it could be that sort of like, but introverted sensing was like so clear.
Yeah.
It was very obvious to us.
Yeah.
First of all, because we experience it. It's in our ego syntonic, as extroverted sensing isn't. So it's more through our coaching work or working with other people, like client work, not directly experiencing it as much as introverted sensing. Yeah. So that's one thing is direct experience. But the second thing is I wonder if we are over into intuitizing it.
Yeah, over intuiting
like
it.
Maybe it's a lot more simple. Like it's like, can you see clearly and can you smell clearly and can you hear clearly? You're like literally your lens is clean. Like are your senses on and are they perceiving things in a real way?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
Are you hammered on like the last bottle of gin and you're falling over and you can't see clearly? Well, your extroverted sensing's dirty. Like maybe we're overthinking it.
I think you're totally right. It's like,
it's not that complicated.
Are your senses being...
It's just something I'm not aware of. That's not my expertise. So I'm like, wait.
Dulled or...
I think we're literally making this harder than it actually is.
100%.
It's like, can you see clearly?
Yeah.
Can you hear clearly? I mean, all things being equal. Can you smell clearly? Can you walk straight?
Is the instrument that is taking in the information from the present moment, is the instrument as good as you can make it in, considering that, some people have limitations in that.
You eat sugar and you dull out your brain, or you drink alcohol and you make yourself tipsy, or you screw your perceptions. It probably is just way more straightforward than we're trying to make it.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, I do think that there is a little bit of also the not being able to quote unquote see clearly based on other factors that come in that are like addictions, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
That kind of thing. Yeah. But addiction, I mean, you can be addicted to a lot of different things. Yeah. So I would say, and an addiction is going to alter your perception.
Okay. So if you are watching or listening right now, what's your experience with sensation? Maybe you have it as a preference. You're an SP type, or it's in the backseat of your car model, right? It's one of your uncertain parts, 10-year-old or 3-year-old, tertiary or inferior. What's your experience with it? And maybe it's not even in your, maybe you're an NP like us, whatever. But just say, is it something that you're like, you would see it clean if I can see clearly? I bet a lot of extroverted sensing people just say, I know a lot of extroverted sensing people that don't like to do drugs or alcohol at all. They don't like the fact it hurts their ability to be really present and with it.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably, but I'd like to hear from you in the comments below. Let us know what's coming up as we talk about this. How do you see it? Mm-hmm. Now, can we talk about introverted intuition?
Sure. Yeah.
Perspective. So you talked about this being something this is the preferred perception cognitive function for NJ types. Mm-hmm. That means SPs will have it at that 10-year-old, 3-year-old, a little more uncertain. Mm-hmm. You talked about reframing. This is a big part of perspectives. Introverted intuition is this ability to see a situation differently than it was, like to reframe the meaning of it, but also to see from other people's perspectives, like seeing something how that person would see it, not how I would see it.
And reframing is like a really important thing to be able to do. It's just really bad if you're trying to make peace with the situation and review the experience as it was.
Well, it's kind of the opposite of that.
Exactly.
You're saying, I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to see it differently.
That's right. It's one of the major ways that introverted intuition and introverted sensing are just 180 degrees away from each other in that particular way.
So we are not saying that reframing is a dirty perspectives lens.
Nope.
Right?
Only when you're trying to do introverted sensing.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to do introverted intuition, it's really powerful. And in fact, even with working through things like trauma, reframing is kind of an important part of that. So reframing is actually a superpower. And that said, if we're going to talk about it in terms of dirty lenses, I mean, it's like all the introverted functions have the capacity to to have unprocessed material that's living inside of us. And this relates to things like Jungian complexes, which are complexes are basically images and archetypes that are representations of a situation in our life, or like basically like what's frozen in your mind that is your representation of a situation. And you have a bunch of unprocessed material that lives around that situation in your mind, right?
Yeah.
It's like organized, unprocessed material. And that's what a complex is. So we've done episodes on it before, so you can go check out our episodes on complexes. But it's like 100% of people have a complex around their mom because they have all these situations that may or may not have been, I mean, there's so many of them. There's so many situations that we have been thrown in with our mom. Or even the situation of not having a mom.
Yeah.
And then we have all these complicated, emotions and feelings and experiences and wishes and all that stuff that are unprocessed that sort of are organized around that topic, the topic of mom. So all of us have a complex around mother, the concept of mother or our own personal mothers. But that doesn't mean it's a problem. Right. So when I say unprocessed material, I'm talking about just a bunch of stuff in our psyche that is unfinished business. And so the introverted functions are where we have that unfinished business. It's like the unprocessed material. So to go back over to introverted intuition, it's like, okay, so what's unprocessed material that's in intuition or intuiting? And if intuition is basically a fascination with the unknown, anything that we cannot directly experience. That's what sensing's for. Sensing is for direct experiences. Anything we can't directly experience and we have to kind of do a little bit of imagination work around it in order to understand it. That's anything that falls in the realm of intuition. And we can have unprocessed intuition. We can have unprocessed thoughts around the unknown that also haunt us.
Yeah.
This is when we start getting like paranoid, or when we get fears about the future or anxieties. This is where we, where we don't complete, like we have a scenario of a projection into the future, or we run a simulation in our mind, but we stop the simulation midpoint because it's distressing. Now that's unprocessed material, right? Like we did not allow the process of the intuitive thought. We didn't run the simulation all the way to the end. It was disconcerting. We got kind of afraid of it, or we got frustrated by it, or it produced anxiety or something. And so now it's just kind of sitting and spinning.
Yeah.
And now it's a projection of what's going to happen in the future without actually running it all the way to its end course, all the way through, which usually when we get to the other side of that simulation, we can determine whether or not it's reasonable to believe that that is indeed how everything will go down. And two, usually we kind of go like, and if it does, that's not the worst thing in the world, usually, right? If it's the most likely scenario, which is what introverted intuition is looking for. It's looking for the most likely scenario, the probable. And it's when we stop that process midway because we get spooked. That's usually when we project all this anxiety and all this terrible stuff into the future.
Yeah, I want to say that the dirty lens is definitely projection. I think it's like pre-perspective projection. I mean, you told me this story about your mom growing up. She has INFJ preferences, so her dominant or driver function would be introverted intuition or perspectives. And she had a lot of pre-designed narratives for you kids.
Yeah.
Like your sister had a pre-designed, projected like narrative archetype that she was expected to fulfill, or your mom just couldn't see outside of her fulfilling. Like, yeah. Like she couldn't see your sister in a more pure, direct way. She had to see the projection of what the story was about your sister.
Yeah, well, it explained everything away, basically.
And so then she didn't really shift the perspective. It seemed like her lens was dirty in that moment. She's like, she had a label and a narrative and an archetype that she said, your sister is.
Yeah, and my sister was the wounded bird.
Yeah, and then
I ended up as a black sheep.
But the wounded bird, like, if that's a static narrative and she's not reevaluating it, well, now she can't get out of this thing. Like she's stuck there. Like she's always going to be the wounded bird because that's now her archetype story.
And if my sister was going to get out of the wounded bird archetype or narrative, it means that on some level she would be going against her caretaker.
That's right.
She would be betraying my mother's projection of her role.
And so your sister's like, okay, well, I have to play the role of wounded bird to fit this narrative that's projected onto me. And now your mom did that for whatever reasons. Like your mom's intuition isn't that off. Like she's got pretty good intuition, but she had to do this for other reasons, for her faith background, whatever reasons. But I would say that's probably a dirty lens of introverted intuition.
Yeah, for
example of a type of way it can get dirty.
Yeah, absolutely. Projecting. And I think my mom had to do that because she didn't want to look too closely at roles in general. Like if roles could shift and change, it meant that transformation is possible. And I think my mom on some level was sort of like the idea that transformation is possible is a little bit of a, I mean, not to throw my mom under the bus or under a bus and throw too much shade at my mom because
I wasn't getting personal. I was just using it illustratively.
I know.
You're getting personal.
She was doing the best with what she had at the time. And so I can't really.
She's my mother-in-law. I'm not doing anything. I'm just, hey, I love you. It's all good.
Yeah. And she's not a bad person. I love my mom and she's not a bad person. But yes, this is.
Sure.
There was some motivation in there to not have to own the transformative effect or that transformation component that introverted intuition or perspectives is usually attuned to. Yeah. Because like in the same way that introverted sensing or memory like watches changes over time, so it sort of understands how things transform in post.
Etymology.
The etymology of something.
Yeah.
Introverted intuition or perspectives is projecting transformation into the future. Like it runs a simulation of how something could change in the future. And so it attunes to transformation, not as something that is inevitable and has happened, but as something that is reachable. And that's why a lot of people who have introverted intuition or perspectives end up in things like personal development, because personal development is ostensibly a transformation sort of a discipline.
Yes.
And so the concept of transformation becomes interesting and tools and, disciplines around it and all that stuff. But I think when introverted intuition is being used by somebody who that's a threatening thought for, not just projection, but also an avoidance of the nature of like, oh, if I put some effort into this, I can change. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to change, then that's a very, what's the word when, threatening. It's a threatening thought. So I think that's probably another way that introverted intuition or perspectives can be a dirty lens is if it's avoiding the nature of transformation.
Yeah.
And it doesn't want to see that because of the responsibility it places on the person. So
what's your relationship to this? Again, everybody uses all of these, but you, if you're an NJ, have a very close relationship with it. If you're an SP, you're going to have a uncertain relationship with it. And if you're like us or another type, you don't have it in your consciousness, but it's in your shadow. But if you are a person that you are aware of this perspectives process, introverted intuition, in the comments, just let us know, how do you see your lens of this getting dirty? Yeah. Right? What would you say is that? And do you resonate with this idea of projecting something like that narrative onto people or situations versus taking them for what they are and allowing the image or the archetype to come to you, whether you're entering the world projecting that archetype onto people? Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say one more way that it can get dirty is when it becomes too tunnel vision, when it gets too narrow. And so that can also, I think, smudge the lens in some ways. It's like what it's doing is it's not smudging the lens of the simulation that's been run and that the NJ, and usually as sometimes SP as well, but that track that they're on, what it's doing is it's smudging the lens of anything in their periphery, right? Mm-hmm. It can be like overly focused on a single outcome and not have any ability to see things that are modifiers or influencing it on the side. So it's almost like the smudge isn't in the front. The smudge is on the side, if that makes sense. Yeah. Let's talk about that final perceiving function, extroverted intuition. So this is exploration, we've nicknamed it. It's the preferred perception function. I keep saying perception function, perceiving function. I don't know why I keep saying it that way. This is like the first episode I've ever said the perception function.
Well, because we're talking about perception in terms of glasses and lenses.
That's why. That must be why I'm doing it, because I'm like, why am I saying it that way? The fourth perceiving function, the Jungian perceiving function. So this is about external pattern recognition. It's preferred by all NPs in the Myers-Briggs system, me and Antonia and our folks, our kind.
Our kind.
And it's a backseat 10-year-old, 3-year-old uncertainty process for the SJs. So the people we started with talking about with their introverted sensing. So this is going to flip the script on them now. And again, kind of like extroverted sensing, I'm wondering if like maybe we don't need to overcomplicate this. Maybe this is more direct than I realize, but it is intuitive. So now I'm like, well, maybe not. Let's explore.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think when my exploration gets dirty. I always start with myself as my control.
Yeah.
Because I've got FI. But
yeah.
What about you? Do you have a sense of this or seeing other people?
I wish I had done some research now, because I'm having a hard time with this one, because it's my driver.
It's hard to see. It's like a fish in water to see what's...
I really do believe that the hardest function to describe for me is extroverted intuition. It really is. It's such a fish in water situation for me.
I think kind of like extroverted sensing, it's not as difficult as we make it. It's probably more direct, and it probably has to do with like the speed and the cadence of how fast or how manic we are. Like how manic this process shows up is probably how it gets dirtied. In other words, it's like, whoa, slow down a little. Like the comedian Robin Williams might have been a little dysregulated here. He might have been doing it a little too much. Like he might have had, like, it worked for him. Like he was able to create comedy from it. But can you imagine having to like have him as a coworker? Like at his day job, or like have to be in like a business meeting with Robin Williams? Like how much that would be like, well, your lens is a little off. Maybe it's just dysregulated. I don't know. It had a lot of cocaine involved too. So
there was some cocaine involved.
Let's just make that a comment.
Well, just like with extroverted sensing.
Yeah.
Maybe it is about how we're impacting and stimulating the extroverted intuition. I will say with Robin Williams, I think he was channeling. I don't think he was dysregulated. I think he was channeling in his comedy.
You're probably right.
And so I think that actually he was an example of what happens when one allows the energy to just flow through. On
a stage, sure. But can you imagine him being in that mode in a business meeting?
In that mode, no.
Or like at your church, or like, like in any normal situation, acting like that. You'd be like, this guy's insane. Get him locked up tomorrow or right now. Like,
I don't think he would have probably been that way in any context where he wasn't channeling, and channeling kind of requires a certain set of circumstances, which is usually not found in like, paying for your gas at a gas station.
Is cocaine one of those circumstances?
And cocaine may have been a big part of it. Yes,
I'm sure he was just hopped up all the time.
Well, and that's and if that's the case, then it wasn't channeling; it was just cocaine. But and
what happens with extroverted intuition and cocaine?
And cocaine, Robin Williams. Jinx. So this is definitely tougher for me. I'm going to really kind of, I'm going to use my extroverted intuition to give me the answer as I'm talking.
I love that.
Okay. And I will see if I'm able to hit it. And
I don't just love that for you. I love that.
Yeah, you just love that. And if something comes up for you as I'm talking, please feel free to interrupt at any time. Unless I'm just about to like birth this amazing.
Right when the point's about to land, I'm going to interrupt.
You're going to interrupt me? Okay, thanks. So this is a function that is also tuned to the unknown, but it's tuned into the unknown in much shorter timelines. It's not running the simulation all the way into the future. It's more like sort of, it's bringing the timeline much closer and then allowing it to sort of spread into a lot of different possibilities. So when I think about this as opposed to introverted intuition or perspectives, I always think of them as like kind of seeing all the potential timelines and then instinctively and intuitively grabbing the most likely one and then following that trail. And then when it gets to a moment when it's like, that's probably not what's going to happen. This is more likely. And so then it goes off on another trail. And, that's like eventually it runs like the most likely thing.
Yeah.
Extroverted intuition is more like sort of giving like all these, almost like the multiverse, all these different potential timelines. And this is what it would look like if it went down this path. And this is what it would look like if it went down that path. And so in some ways,
until you start going down a path and then it starts laying Like once you commit, it starts to get more focused and we'll commit with you.
Yeah.
It'll give you what you're doing on this run right now and you're trying to explore it. You've decided you're going to go on the hunt for it. So now all those possibilities start to collapse into like what's just on the next horizon.
And then it's giving me information as I'm talking.
Yes.
Right. I always call it the laying the train tracks while the train is in motion. It's giving me pieces of information as I'm going. And in some ways, there's a need for faith. There's like a faith that I have in my ability to find the answer if I just keep talking long enough. It'll like hit me. It'll strike me. And this is why brainstorming is so important for the function and like all the ideas, like give me as many ideas as possible. And then I'll just get this feel. And I don't think this is just in brainstorming and idea generating. I've realized that this is how I live life. I live life by just going, I'm pretty sure it's that thing. Right. That's the thing. Of all the different possibilities in front of me, that's the next right move. And then I get there and then I go, as opposed to running that simulation and then getting in a tunnel vision of going towards that. It's like every hop is now has all these potential branches of intuitive possibilities, multiverses.
Right. And
then I choose one and I go, okay, I'm going to hop there.
And the key here is action. The key here is taking action, committing to something. For the NPs that are like, how do I get something? I don't know what to do. I lose direction. It's like take an action and things become more clear.
Yes.
Like action's the key.
And I think for me, when it feels like the lens is smudged, I feel like it's when I hesitate. I don't take an action. I don't let myself do the leap of faith.
Just go wide. You keep opening more loops wide, hoping that's more options will solve it, right? Like not narrowing, but widening my options. That's the best way to go.
Yeah.
Without action, just by its own sake.
Yes. Not sort of giving myself imposed limitations and just having it be wide open. And I feel like that's when my perception starts to get really like weirdly blurred. Like the more options I have on the table, initially that's okay, but I have to start eliminating very quickly. And if I don't do that, then it feels like I'm not seeing anything. Like I feel like I'm really going blind.
It never feels like elimination to me. It always feels like I'm taking action on the best thing I can determine right now. And by definition, those are now these other options are irrelevant because I took action on this one. But there's other possibilities in front of me now. And the one I choose from there, I take, and then those others become irrelevant. And now a bunch of possibilities. So it's like every trail I go down has more trails, but I'm saying no to all the other trails, but it doesn't feel like I'm pruning maybe like an introverted, intuitive person would.
No.
I'm not using this probabilities. I'm saying I'm just going to take a leap of faith onto this because I think it's the best way to go. And I'll see what happens. And usually it works out. And
sometimes it's a pruning because just jumping eliminated a bunch of potentials because the opportunities are now gone.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I can hop over to another one.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's a pruning and sometimes it's not a pruning. It's just a choice. It's like an action, but it's the one that I have faith in. And I think the thing that really erodes my ability to do that too is number one, if I don't trust it. If I don't trust my ability to have chosen one, trust me in that experience, a lack of faith in myself and a lack of faith in my intuition will absolutely make it so that I just now sit and spin. And the second thing is courage. If I don't have courage to take the action, first it's trust and then it's courage, then I find that the function itself doesn't get very far. And so, I mean, I'm just...
I resonate with this, though.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's the smudging, but...
Well, let me ask you listening or watching right now. What's coming up for you? You're sitting here listening to... Maybe you have NP preferences, or maybe you even are SJ, so you have this as part of your psyche. How do you see this? Does this come up for you kind of like with too many options, and that's where you feel it gets dirty and the lens is smudged? Or is it something else? Like, I think that would be interesting to get a little bit of a creative crowdsourcing here for this one.
Yeah.
Leave it in the comments. Let us know.
I think when things feel like when I start catastrophizing or assuming that none of the options are okay or that there's no options left, right? When I start almost synthetically limiting because my field has gotten really limited, that's also a time period where it doesn't feel like it's a clear lens. And then I think also So the function can be either like a carbonated idea that you're kind of selling to people and getting people excited about, or it can be like Dario talks about the two different styles, either analytic or holistic. We've done podcasts on that, analytic and holistic of each one of them. And you have the more analytic version of extroverted intuition or exploration, where you're more of a, you're going to sell the idea to the world.
I'm more proactive and more narrow focused on the patterns that I'm pursuing.
Yeah.
I've got an agenda I'm after with a narrow focus, and I'm like going for it.
Yeah. And you're going to assert that, and you're going to kind of make it happen.
Almost looking for the patterns I want to see. Yeah.
And I'm more receptive. It's called the catalyst. And it's more of sort of it's a more subtle form of influence. It's more like looking for the opportunities to start something, like kind of kicking over a domino. And you're looking for like a person using this style is looking for dominoes. And I think it gets kind of smudgy if a person is trying to sell something that is, how do I say this? It's like the world has not created that line of dominoes. Does that make sense? It's like if the catalyst part kicks over, like it sees the row of dominoes and it kicks one over, it tries to kick one over in order the dominoes to all fall. And I think when you're trying to force it, does that make sense? It's like there's no line of dominoes there, but you're like, dag nabbit, you're like gonna try to make it happen. I think that's also aversion. Like it's either withholding from action or it's trying to overly force something to happen. I think those are both smudgy lenses for the function. But you know, that's the best I've got. I'm weirdly enough, I have a bit of a blind spot around this, or like I'm not sure because
we use it so much.
I know it's like
I'm using it right now to try to figure itself out.
Yeah.
Self-referencing.
And I don't know if I hit it or not, but I'd really love for somebody else to come along and say, I think it might be smudged in this way.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it.
I really like this conversation because it's not a direct teaching conversation of things that we're like, here's how this works. I think it's really interesting to do some work. I'll talk to you off air about maybe doing more of these exploratory. I have some ideas that came up for me in this conversation. Yeah. But I do want to turn to you. You've been listening or watching along, and thank you for being here with us in this discussion. I'm sure as we're talking, you're making your own connections, your own insights, and you're like, but guys, you got to look at this way, and you don't have a microphone.
Not see it.
Yeah.
And Joel and Antonia, it's so obvious.
You don't have a microphone, but we do want to hear from you. So of course, please make comments to the things we've already asked, but also just come over and below this podcast, this episode, kind of give some feedback. What's coming up for you? Do you see this idea of your perception, your perceiving functions as lenses? And if they are lenses, a metaphor of a lens or an analogy of a lens, what does it mean to have a smudged lens? I think we know what it means. All of us, I think, not all of us, but I think we could easily talk about what it means what it focuses on. I mean, that's easy to talk about what the perceiving function. That's what they're attuned to. That's what they care about. And they can have a narrow focus or wide focus, but they're directionally pointing somewhere, right? Introverted sensing's focused on the past and precedent and what's come before and how did we get here? And extroverted intuition is focused on possibilities and what if we didn't have to start from here? What could be that's not already? And let's interrupt this pattern and see see what happens, right? That's what those are focused on. And then introverted intuition is focused more on the patterns and the meaning and the symbology in the world around them. So what is that person's perspective? What is their personal meaning around this? What would their symbol in their brain be for this concept? And
running a simulation in the future.
And then a future orientation. I think less NJs like, or most NJs will always do the perspectiving thing, but not all NJs will agree with that running a simulation in the future. I know.
Yeah.
Like some say, I don't experience it that way, but I think most do with the symbology and meaning. But you're right. The focus of the future is another way to focus that lens. Right. And then the extroverted sensing or sensations, like the present moment, the eternal now, the full engagement, the pursuing aliveness, whether that's an effortless flow of chill aliveness or max aliveness with high octane and adrenaline. Yeah. So those are the focuses. We know that. But the dirtiness, the smudging, I think this is an interesting concept. And we would love to hear from you. How would you interpret that concept? The smudgingness of this, what gets your perception dirty, what cleans it, what makes it really crystal clear, what makes it hard to see what you want to see? Again, make your voice heard. Come over and right below this episode. You can also visit us over at personalityhacker.com and check out some of the products, programs, and content we have there. We're producing some tools lately, journals and cards we've got available.
I just want to say,
coming out.
We actually are in almost a manic run of production right now.
Yeah.
We have journals coming out, have already come out by the time of this recording.
Just had our live event, There was really good feedback on those there.
Yeah, so journals, cards. So actual journals, like written journals per type and like with really good, deep content in there.
Yeah.
Cards, which are awesome. And if you want other people to think that personality type is a real thing, then get a deck of cards and then all of a sudden it's real to everybody. It's kind of a magic trick. And the third thing is the program Pillars of Personality. Mm-hmm. We recently recorded that. It might be some of my best work ever.
Yes.
Like, I mean, there are other programs I love, and there are programs we've poured our heart and soul into. We poured our heart and soul into couples mapping. That's a fantastic program for relationships. We've poured our heart and soul into, quite a few things that we've created. But Pillars of Personality, it's an at-home study course. So it's all the information and content that you would find in some of our bigger flagship programs, but it's an at-home study course, so you don't have to
travel anywhere.
Commit to going someplace or commit to going to a live event.
Oh, and this time,
I
have to brag about you, Antonia.
Yeah.
We were able, because most of our older programs and courses we built were like you and me, mostly you, on a call, the session's like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, I love all the content, but it's hard to digest it in smaller chunks with a busy life.
Yeah.
I don't have 90 minutes to watch one full session. So we did really good this time.
Yes.
I think almost every session is like 20 minutes or less. There's a couple
couple of them that peaked into 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But every single session is less than 25 minutes.
Yeah, we're trying to get that down because we understand busy life. And so the home study point, that had to be there so people could do it in chunks. So I'm just bragging about you.
Thank you.
Good job. That's hard for you to...
That is hard for me to do. I'm like...
make it shorter.
Oh, it's so hard. But I did it. And I think it's some of the best content I've ever produced.
So it goes into complexes, shadow, archetypes.
Not complexes.
Shadow, archetypes.
It goes into... Well, it's the pillars of personality. Like if you want to know all of the most relevant models that we teach around personality... Yeah, it's shadows and archetypes, and we go into self-regulation and the map of regulation for every personality type as it relates to that.
The axis of relating to self, the axis related to others.
That's right. The certainty model, the how to figure out every single personality type's cognitive function stack, like what it means to have polarities versus dichotomies, like the whole thing. It's
and those are all the frameworks, and then there's a whole module where we run through all 16 types, applying all of that to each type layer by layer through their car model.
We actually do it twice. There are two different modules where we take the models that we've been talking about and filter it through all 16 types. We do it twice.
So you get to see it applied, not just, you don't just okay, that's how that works. You get to see us then apply it to specifically that type. So you'll see your type and the people in your life's type.
Firm fixations, flow states, like the whole thing. So so I mean, you don't have to go get it, but you should, because I think it's actually really good stuff.
Well, our goal with this is to make the type of stuff that we would teach in our profiler training or our personality life path mentorship more accessible for home study. And then it would prepare somebody. If you did want to take one of those courses, you are right in alignment. You know what you need to know.
Yeah.
So that we can move fast when we get to the actual
correct
course, right? If you're in profiler training, we don't have to slow down and reverse engineer nicknames and all this. We want to be able to go really quickly and help you get the skill of being able to read personality type. If you're in PLP, you can actually work more directly if you know all this framework.
I would say that Pillars of Personality is the shiznit, and you should go get a copy.
Go get Pillars of Personality and let us know how it is. I'm Joel Markwitt.
I'm Antonia Dodge.
And we'll talk with you on the next Personality Hacker podcast.